Good, happy Monday morning. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast. Let's begin. First up, House votes to ban sobriety checkpoints. Police would no longer be allowed to set up sobriety checkpoints under a bill passed by lawmakers in the New Hampshire House. The bill's supporters argued that checkpoints are ineffective and said that, according to one trooper, fewer than 1% of drivers who are stopped are charged with drunk driving. Supporters also said checkpoints can render relations between police and the public because drivers don't like being stopped, and that because officers get paid overtime to make the practice expensive as well. The bill's opponents unsuccessfully argued that lawmakers should not ban a tool that police can use to protect the public from drunk drivers. The bill now goes to the Senate. Victim of Winchester Library stabbing identified. Let's take a listen to the video from WCVB Boston.
Put everything in front of herself, her own needs to be wonderful to other people and work hard and achieve her goals.
Just 22 years old, a bright future ahead. Deanne Kenny Stryker sought the silence of her hometown library Saturday to study. The medical student attacked from behind by a crazed man with a knife, losing her promising young life.
She was a wonderful friend to my daughter and a compassionate, loving person. Probably one of the nicest people I ever met.
While many laid flowers in Deanne's memory Sunday at the steps where she died, many more offered support at the steps where she lived.
An extremely nice family, a remarkable family, and their mom obviously is struggling to make sense of all this.
At Kenny Stryker's Winchester home, family friends described her as kind, intelligent, and a fighter when faced with obstacles.
She was just a remarkable kid, and the family has shown tremendous resilience over the years.
Deanne's loss being felt throughout this tight-knit community.
We've lost such a beautiful young lady and friend to people.
It still remains unclear if there was any connection between the victim and the man now charged with her murder, Jeffrey Yao. He will be in court tomorrow to be arraigned on the charge of murder. We're live in Winchester. Nicole Estefan, WCVB News Center 5.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Deputies, man burglarized home, led officers on chase. A North Berwick man is behind bars for breaking into a Waterboro home and leading deputies on a high-speed chase, according to the York County Sheriff's Office. Deputies say Kyle Burskey, 29, broke into a home, gave deputies a fake name, and ran from authorities. Deputies were called to Kennedy Drive residence after the homeowner's sister, who was watching the property, saw things were out of place. Investigators found out Bursky was squatting in the house, knowing no one would be there. Police and a canine unit were called in to track the suspect down. As Sheriff's Office continued to investigate, deputies stopped a car on Main Street in Wattsboro for having a plate light out and traveling too close behind another car. The driver, who authorities later identified as Bursky, gave the deputy a fake name and sped off. Deputies chased him for 12 miles, reaching speeds of 100 miles per hour. They attempted to stop him by putting down a spike strip near Miller's Country Store. Eventually, he ditched his car and ran into a friend's house. The Wells Police Canine reportedly chased the suspect and found him on the second floor. Investigators found a pry bar in Bursky's car. Bursky faces charges for eluding a police officer and burglary. His bail was set at $5,000. He will appear in court today. X-Mine on U.S. market entry will be there. X-Mine is building its resource to enter the U.S. market. A top executive at the company has told CNBC. Last week, X-Mine signed a deal with Microsoft to explore cooperation in the area in cloud computing, and hardware. When asked if this is a sign the Chinese electronic giant is seriously considering an entry into the U.S. with its smartphones, Wang Xing, the head of X-Mine's international business, said the company is always looking closely at the market. Trump's aide, very favorable plea deal ramps up pressure on Manafort, experts say. Let's take a listen to the video from ABC News.
What's so natural in Splenda Naturals stevia sweetener? Everything. We start with stevia leaves and extract only the sweetest parts. So unlike other stevia sweeteners, Splenda Naturals has no bitter aftertaste. Just 100% natural sweetness for the best tasting stevia. Now that's sweet.
Walking into the federal courthouse on Friday after making a plea deal with Robert Mueller. We're going to talk about what it means now with Preet Bharara, former U.S. attorney, now distinguished scholar in residence at NYU Law School, also our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. Welcome to you both. And Preet, let's just set the stage of where things are right now. 9 months into the Mueller investigation, he's got 5 guilty pleas, including from the president's former national security advisor, now his deputy campaign chair. New charges filed against Paul Manafort could face decades in prison. He's indicted 13 Russian nationals. When you look at all of that, what does it tell you about where Mueller is right now, where he's going?
It tells you that he's relentless. It tells you that he's thorough. It tells you that he takes very seriously any kind of crime that relates to obstruction, whether it's lying or anything else. And it tells you that given how much surprise there has been every time there's been a charge or an indictment or a plea, sometimes with respect to people who have not been on anyone's radar screen, and I'm talking about people who are paying close attention, there's a lot we don't know. So at any given moment, more can happen, and we don't quite know where it's going to lead.
And that's the question, though, about Rick Gates, how much more information he can give. We've seen from the deal he made, he pled guilty to two counts, could face 5 to 7 years in prison, Dan Abrams. But according to Mueller's own lawyers in the courtroom, that could go down to probation if he cooperates.
That's right. I think you have to view all of these as building blocks, right? You have to view the indictment of the 13 Russians as building blocks. You have to view all of these plea deals as building blocks. What do I mean by that? Meaning the reason that the government is making these deals, the reason that they are eliminating an enormous amount of counts against these various people is because they believe they have something to offer them, something beyond what we already know. And so when you think about the broad scope of the investigation, you have to be thinking about, why did he make this deal with Flynn? What is Flynn offering them that can help them? And Gates. And coming back to Gates, I think that the people who think this is just about Manafort are missing the point. The kinds of crimes that Manafort is charged with here, sort of banking crimes, tax evasion, these are document-heavy crimes, meaning there's a lot of evidence there. You don't really need Gates to be able to prove the Manafort case.
So you're saying he had to give up someone else.
Okay, and there you go on some of that video. If you want to watch the whole video, we will share the link on the Riley King Network Facebook page, and you can just click on that link and watch the whole video. Also, a former AIDS plea deal on Friday appears to dangle the possibility that he will get probation, no jail time, after cooperating with Special Counsel's Russia investigation. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today. Goodbye, everyone.